Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. On my left, I'm joined by Nick Functionality Pateman. I'm James Linkbait McFarlane, and of course, I'm joined on my right by Dan Holt. And this week, we're talking about ICANN's generic top-level domains and the new generic top-level domains that they plan to release. Now, to catch everyone up who aren't familiar with this topic, ICANN essentially proposed to release a bunch of generic top-level domains to the private market. So essentially, you can bid or apply to buy anything like .app, .london, .inbound, instead of just using .com or .co.uk. So the first thing that I want to talk about with my guests is, what do you think is going to happen when they launch? And I'm going to start off with Nick here.
New gTLDs, they call them generic top-level domains. New ones aren't a new thing, in the sense that we've had a slow release of generic top-level domains for the last 10 years. .mobi being one, .me, .info, .biz, all of these are generic top-level domains. And what happened to those domains, guys? Like, nothing. Absolutely nothing happened. .info just got picked up by loads of spam people. .biz, that's generally not used, and everything else kind of went down the same route. So for me, it's going to be a similar thing. There might be a few out there that become really big, like .app might get adopted by every app developer out there, and it might become the next big thing for websites who build apps. But I think for the most part, it's going to be a real flop.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have any sort of major sort of significant impact. I mean, we've talked a lot in the last few weeks about how things are typically quite slow to evolve online. So whether it's kind of Google sort of dominating their market, Facebook dominating theirs, I think we see that actually people, sort of consumer habits online, are pretty slow to change. And I can't imagine after 15 years of everyone treating .coms, .co.uk's as the domains that really kind of mean something, I don't see that changing. I think if anything, the failure of the generic top-level domains this time around might just reinforce the position of the .coms.
I mean, I think it's definitely going to depend on the marketing from the company that buys it, because basically from a consumer point of view, they need to get used to it. If it doesn't become something that consumers accept, then no one is really going to want to buy them.
I mean, just very quick, I think that's an interesting area, is because we can sort of dismiss it, but ultimately a lot of companies have spent huge amounts of money investing in these, and therefore they must believe that there's something in it. Yeah. So I certainly think from a specific brand point of view, whether that's Google, Johnson & Johnson, Amazon, clearly they have specific strategies in mind. So that will be interesting.
They might just be speculating and just playing it safe.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a degree of specation in it, but clearly.
I think on an aspect of it though, 250 grand, I think, was the application fee.
Dollars.
Yeah. I don't think that's a lot. For instance, when .xxx launched, that never took off. .xxx, but I think they sold gay .xxx for well in excess of $250,000, which is that's your investment back in one thing. Yeah. So,
but just for me, someone who's bought .marketing, right? That just seems like a big flop. Who's actually going to buy .marketing?
Inbound .marketing, would you buy that?
No, because first of all, it makes our brand generic, and also it's just a longer name. No one wants a longer name to type in, and marketing is a long word. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like I have to agree with you, but I do feel like the cream's going to rise to the top. There are going to be, however much we hate it, there are going to be a few ones which work.
Yeah.
So I think the majority aren't, personally, and I'm not in a big position to say that, but from a personal point of view, I don't think a lot of these are going to work, but I think a certain amount will. Now, how can we as SEOs prepare for this? What should we be looking for? How should we prepare?
Well, if we go by the other gTLDs that got launched, like .mobi and .biz, then we'll be, kind of skeptical moving forward. I wouldn't go out there buying loads of these new generics. I think maybe wait. I mean, you could speculate, depending on the price. No one really knows how much these things are going to cost, but you could definitely speculate. I don't think there's an obvious route to go. I think we've got inbound .marketing. I don't think that necessarily have any impact on ranking for inbound marketing.
No, I mean, I think certainly from a sort of traditional SEO point of view, I can't see it having any impact. I mean, it would take, even if let's say it took 2-3 years for consumer habits to change, it's then going to take even longer for then Google and the search engines to recognise that in how they treat treat the extensions. I think the best thing an SEO can do is not get distracted.
I mean, there is one thing that I think we can all do, is essentially there are about 1,900 of these domains applied for, and they're each given a prioritization number, and the top 100, like the 1 to 100 of this prioritization number, which is the kind of order where they're getting evaluated, are all foreign domains. They're Chinese, Spanish, things like that, which means that the first top level domains that get launched with this new system will be foreign ones. So you could essentially look at how they perform in those countries, and then say, well, then I'm gonna buy the English ones. So I think that's quite a good way to look at it. Now, guys, of course, I have to ask you, if you could own one generic top-level domain, what would it be, and why? I'm gonna ask Dan first.
Probably .mum, just to upset you. I might rent it out to you a week at a time.
I would put up an objection or something like that.
Okay. Well,
just for anyone that doesn't understand what's going on here, this guy owns mum.com and,
well, not anymore.
It's still an escrow. So.
.co.uk even, but yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly.
And Nick?
I would probably go for .uk. It probably wouldn't be allowed, but at the same time, the .uk proposal that came out, anyone in the UK probably knows about this, the .uk proposal that came out about a year ago was a complete disaster. It's no longer happening, but I would certainly buy the .uk and then just throw it in the bin, never allowing anyone to use it ever again.
I would buy .mcfarlane, because I'd turn it into a brand. James.mcfarlane. Bam, that's my own website. Cool.mcfarlane, like cool funny games. Apps.mcfarlane, anything.
.mcfarlane.
Yeah, no, I'd be in charge of it. Like I wouldn't pay myself. And email.mcfarlane.
Again.
Like, robot.mcfarlane. It just the possibilities are completely endless. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining me this week. And of course, we'll be back next week. This has been the Inbound Debate. We'll see you next week. Bye.